You open your eyes, but it's not the sun that blinds you. It's the moon, immense and pale, beginning to bid farewell in the indigo sky. The dawn air is hot, heavy, and sticks to your skin. Beneath you, the rough reed mat is the only separation between your body and the dry clay of the flat roof where your whole family sleeps to escape the suffocating heat of the night. Slowly, you sit up. Silence does not exist. What there is a low, constant hum, the breathing of a sleeping monster. It is the sound of Babylon, the greatest city the world has ever seen. In the distance, the colossal silhouette of the ziggurat Etemenanki scratches the sky, a staircase built by men to provoke the gods. The smell rising from the streets is a mixture of dust, incense burned in the temples, the strong odor of the Euphrates River, and the barley bread that is already beginning to bake in the communal ovens. Your name will not be remembered in any epic. Your face will not be carved in stone. You are a son of a son of a son of a farmer, a potter, or a boatman. Your life is not an adventure. It is a cycle, dictated by the sun, by the flooding of the river, and by the decrees of a king you will never see. Freedom is a word for the gods. For men, only duty remains. In this video, we will live a day in an era of god-kings, of laws written on clay, and of engineering that challenge the heavens. An experiment to understand what it meant to be a brick in the wall of the most glorious city of antiquity. Welcome to Babylon, the wonder of the world. Prepare to live under its splendor, and don't forget to pay your taxes. The day has just begun. Your house is not a refuge. It is a fortress against the sun. The outer walls are thick, made of baked clay bricks that insulate against the merciless heat of Mesopotamia. There are no windows facing the street. Light and air enter through a single opening in the center of the building, the inner courtyard. It is to this small piece of private sky that all rooms face. Descending from the roof by a rustic wooden ladder, you step onto the packed earth of the courtyard, the true heart of the home. The furniture is sparse and functional. Wooden chests to store grain and fabrics, a few reed mats, and an infinity of clay pots of all sizes used to store water, beer, oil, and food. There are no beds. At night, the mats are unrolled in the dark, cool rooms that surround the courtyard. The cooking fire burns in a corner, and the smoke rises directly to the open sky. The house was not made for comfort as we know it, but for survival. It is a simple and ingenious machine designed to create a bubble of shade and coolness in the midst of one of the most extreme climates on Earth. Privacy is a concept that does not apply here. In the courtyard, your family's life happens in full view of all its members. Your mother is already grinding barley grains on a stone. Your father inspects a tool, and your younger siblings sleep huddled in a corner. 3 generations can live under the same roof, and every sound, every conversation echoes through the clay walls. You learn from an early age to live in community, as work and survival depend on it. But collective life does not stop at the walls of your house. The walls that separate you from your neighbors are thin. You hear the cry of the baby next door, the argument of the couple across the alley, and smell the stew they are preparing. The streets are narrow, labyrinthine, and life spills out from the houses into the public space. This constant proximity creates a network of support and surveillance. Your neighbors will help you in times of need, but they will also be the first witnesses if you break a law or a custom. In Babylon, you are never truly alone. Your house is just a nucleus within a pulsating, noisy human hive, where every bee knows the buzz of the other. Your first meal of the day is the same as yesterday's and probably tomorrow's. A dark, dense, flat barley bread. The flour is coarse, and it is not uncommon to feel the grit of sand or a tiny chip of stone from the grinder between your teeth. Breaking a tooth is not an accident. It is a calculated risk of your diet. Beside the bread, there is a clay bowl with beer. But make no mistake, this is not the clear, light drink the future will know. Babylonian beer is thick, cloudy, almost a porridge. It is your true sustenance, cheap, full of calories, and, most importantly, safer than the canal water, which can bring disease. You eat quickly, sitting on the courtyard floor. Perhaps there are a few dates for energy, or a handful of cooked lentils. Meat is a distant memory, a taste you only experience during the great festivals in honor of the god Marduk, when the temples distribute portions of the sacrificed animals. On a daily basis, your strength comes from grains. Salt is a valuable commodity, used sparingly. Food is not a source of pleasure, it is fuel. It is the energy needed to plow the field, to shape the clay, to row against the current of the Euphrates. You eat to have the strength to work, and work here is the very definition of life. Your body is a tool that cannot fail, but it lives under constant attack. The heat attracts swarms of flies. The dust irritates your eyes and enters your lungs. And any cut, no matter how small, is an open door for evil. Here, disease is not a biological imbalance, it is possession. It is a demon that has lodged in your blood, your stomach, or your head as punishment for an offense, yours or your ancestors, to some forgotten god. The fever that burns your skin is not a bodily response. It is the touch of Pazuzu, the demon of the wind. The stomachache is the claws of Lamashtu, the devourer of children. There are no doctors, there are exorcists and healers. If you get sick, your family calls the Ashipu, a ritual specialist who will try to expel the evil spirit with magic words and incantations. He might make you an amulet for protection or a potion with herbs and repulsive ingredients, created not to heal your body, but to disgust the demon and force it out. Hygiene is an unknown concept. You wash in the river or with water stored in pots, but true cleanliness is spiritual. Your body is not a temple. It is a battlefield between you and the 1,000 demons that inhabit the dust, the water, and the air. The sun has not yet fully risen, but its heat already announces the hardness of the day. There are no clocks, only the light of the sky and the shadow of the buildings dictating the beginning and end of your journey. If you are a farmer, your life is governed by another master, the river. You walk to the fertile fields that border the Euphrates, a green carpet in the midst of a dry land. Your work is a constant battle to tame the water, digging and cleaning the irrigation canals that are the veins of the empire. With a wooden plow, perhaps pulled by an ox if you are lucky, you break the earth under a relentless sun. During the harvest, your spine is bent for hours on end, cutting barley sheaves with a clay or bronze sickle. Sweat drips and mixes with the dust, creating a layer of mud on your skin. But the fruit of your labor is not entirely yours. A significant portion of everything you harvest is destined for the temple or the palace. Tax collectors, the king's scribes, will come to measure your production and take the share that sustains the priests, the soldiers, and the nobility. You do not work to get rich. You work to survive and to feed the great machine of Babylon. Your sweat is just another brick in the construction of the empire. But perhaps you do not work in the fields. Perhaps, by luck or by birth, your destiny is different. You do not wield the plow, but the stylus, a tool of reed or bone. Your domain is not the earth, but the moist clay. You are a scribe. While the farmer bends under the sun, you sit in a shaded courtyard with fresh clay tablets before you. Your work is the memory of the empire. With precise movements, you press the stylus into the clay, creating the complex cuneiform signs that record everything: marriage contracts, trade agreements, debts, taxes, and the king's orders. Your ability to read and write places you in a position of power. You are indispensable. A merchant needs you to formalize a sale, a couple to register their dowry, a general to catalog the spoils of war. People look at you with a mixture of respect and fear, for you are the guardian of law and information. A single symbol you engrave on clay can seal someone's fate, transfer wealth, or condemn a man. While the farmer's work disappears with each season, yours, after being baked in the sun or in a kiln, can last for millennia. You do not just live in the empire, you write it into existence. You walk through the city, but you never escape their presence, the walls. They are not mere walls, they are artificial mountains that separate the civilized world from the chaos outside. A double wall, so thick at the top that two chariots could run side by side. For you who were born here, they are the ultimate symbol of security and power. They keep enemy armies and desert spirits at bay. Looking up and seeing the baked bricks rising towards the sky gives you a sense of pride and invincibility. This is Babylon, the center of the universe, protected by its own strength. To enter or leave this fortress, one must pass through one of its monumental gates. The most famous, the Ishtar Gate, is a sight that makes even foreign kings hold their breath. It is a portal of a deep, brilliant blue, like a piece of the night sky brought to earth. The walls are adorned with rows of dragons and bulls in relief, the sacred symbols of the gods Marduk and Adad. Passing through it is a religious experience. You are not just entering a city, you are entering a sanctuary, a space guarded and blessed by the most powerful deities. The walls do not just defend your body, they defend your soul, reaffirming every day that you live in the most important place in the world. Once inside the walls, the sense of monumental order dissolves into the vibrant chaos of the streets. The alleys are narrow, labyrinthine, and the air is thick with the sound of thousands of lives happening at once. The buzz is constant. The cries of merchants announcing their products, the bleating of sheep being taken to the temple, the metallic hammering from a blacksmith's workshop, and the murmur of dozens of different dialects. Here, caravans of camels laden with spices from the east cross paths with soldiers in armor and priests in white robes. It is a spectacle of movement and color. You learn to navigate this flow, dodging a water carrier and stopping to listen to gossip in the market. Gossip here is more than entertainment. It is a vital information system, a way of knowing who is rising and who is in disgrace. Amidst the apparent chaos of commerce, the king's order is always present. Palace guards patrol the main thoroughfares, their watchful eyes serving as a reminder that freedom has its limits. The street is the stage for your social life, your workplace, and your source of news, a place both exciting and dangerous, where opportunity and surveillance go hand in hand at every corner. In Babylon, justice is not just a whisper or the whimsical will of a nobleman. It is engraved in stone. In public squares, you can see stelae of black diorite, monuments where the great king Hammurabi inscribed the laws that govern your life. Perhaps you cannot read the hundreds of lines in cuneiform, but you know the principle that governs them all: retribution. If a man commits a crime, the punishment must be mirrored. It is the law of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This brings a new form of order to your world. If a neighbor steals your grain, he will not just be punished, he will have to restore what was stolen, often with interest. If a builder erects a poor quality house that collapses and kills the owner, the builder will be executed. The law is direct, brutal, and, in its essence, seeks balance. It offers a sense of security as it establishes that no one, theoretically, is above the rules. The words engraved in stone are a visible power, a promise that chaos has its limits and that every action will have a clear and inevitable consequence. Justice has ceased to be an act of vengeance and has become an act of the state. But you learn from an early age the harshest truth about the king's justice. A nobleman's eye is worth much more than yours. Babylonian society is divided into rigid classes, and the law reflects this hierarchy. At the top are the Owilim, the upper-class men, the landowners and nobles. Below are the Mushkenim, the common, free men like you. At the bottom are the Wardom, the slaves, seen as property. The Code of Hammurabi does not treat everyone the same. If an Owilim blinds the eye of another Owilim, his own eye will be blinded. It is the law in its purest form. However, if that same nobleman blinds the eye of a Mushkenim like you, he will not lose his. Instead, he will pay a fine in silver. And if the victim is a slave, the fine is even smaller, paid directly to the slave's owner. The law, therefore, does not serve to create equality, but to maintain order within an unequal structure. It ensures that each person knows their place and the exact value of their life, their body, and their honor before the state. Justice exists, but it weighs differently on every shoulder. Your life unfolds under the watchful and capricious gaze of a pantheon of gods. Anu, the god of the sky, Enlil, the lord of the winds, Ishtar, the goddess of love and war. But above all reigns Marduk, the protector and sovereign god of Babylon. Religion is not a matter of silent faith, but a constant contract. You serve the gods not out of love, but to appease their wrath and secure their favor. A flood that destroys your harvest or a disease that takes your child are not accidents. They are signs of divine fury. To avoid misfortune, you do your part of the deal. Daily, you might leave a small offering on your domestic altar, a clay figurine, a little incense. On more important occasions, you take a portion of your best flour or a jug of beer to the gates of the great temple. You do not enter the sacred chambers. Only the priests can see and care for the statue of the god, which is washed, dressed, and fed every day. Your prayer is not for eternal salvation, but for immediate and desperate needs. That the plague does not reach your house, that your boat does not capsize in the river, that your harvest is sufficient. Faith is a tool for survival. The great ziggurat that dominates the city's skyline is more than a stairway to the heavens. It is the center of a vast economic empire. The Temple of Marduk is the largest institution in Babylon, rivaling in power the king's own palace. It owns huge tracts of land, herds of sheep and cattle, workshops of artisans, and fleets of boats. It functions as a divine corporation, employing thousands of people and controlling a significant part of the entire empire's production. The priests are not just spiritual guides, they are administrators, judges, and landowners. Your relationship with the temple is one of duty. Just as you pay taxes to the king, you pay the tithe to the gods, a portion of your harvest, your livestock, or your labor. This constant flow of wealth from millions of people like you is what sustains the splendor of the temples and the luxury of the priestly class. The shadow of the ziggurat that falls upon your house is therefore twofold. It is a spiritual shadow, reminding you of your smallness before the gods, and an economic shadow, reminding you of your obligation to sustain their dwelling on earth. You serve the gods with your devotion, but you feed them with your sweat. At night, when you go up to the roof of your house to seek relief from the heat, you see a spectacle that fills you with awe and reverence. Without the lights of future cities, the night sky is an ocean of brilliant stars. But for you, this is not just beauty, it is a divine message. High atop the ziggurat, the priest astronomers spend their nights in vigil, meticulously recording every celestial movement on clay tablets. The trajectory of the 5 visible planets, which you know as the wandering stars of the gods, the appearance of a comet, or the color of a lunar eclipse are not natural phenomena. These prophecies are not about your personal destiny. They concern the king, the kingdom, the harvest, the war. A lunar eclipse might signify an enemy attack or the fury of a god. The position of Venus, the goddess Ishtar, in the sky can predict success or failure in a battle. And what affects the king affects everyone. The decisions that govern your life, that can lead you to war or make you go hungry, are made based on these celestial readings. You look at the stars not with scientific curiosity, but with the anxiety of one who reads the book of their own destiny, written by a divine and merciless hand. The same observation of the sky that foretells the future also organizes your present. Time for you is not a straight line. It is a sacred cycle dictated by the gods of the sky. Based on the cycles of the moon, the priests define the months of your calendar, determining the exact time for planting and harvesting. They are the ones who add an extra month when necessary so that the seasons do not get lost. Your week has 7 days, one for each of the 7 great celestial bodies that wander the sky: the sun, the moon, and the 5 visible planets. Even your day is divided into hours and minutes, a base 60 system that is a direct legacy of Babylonian celestial mathematics. Life is marked by a rhythm of work and celebration. The calendar is filled with religious festivals that break the monotony of work. The most important is the Akitu, the New Year festival in the spring, which lasts for 12 days. During the Akitu, the city stops.
Processions, rituals that recount Marduk's victory over chaos, and ceremonies that reaffirm the king's power. For you, it is a time of feasting, of plentiful food, and of participating in something larger than yourself. Time is not yours to control, it belongs to the gods. And you live your life within the grid that they, through the stars, have imposed on the world. Childhood in Babylon is a luxury that lasts little. If you survived the dangerous first years, where fever and diarrhea take many, your purpose soon becomes clear. There are no schools for you. Formal education, the learning of cuneiform script, is a rare privilege, reserved for the sons of scribes and the elite. Your school is your father's workshop, the field, or the boat. From an early age, you learn to shape the clay, to guide the plow, or to weave nets. You do not choose a profession, you inherit one. Your future is a mirror of your family's past. When you reach puberty, your father begins to look for a spouse for you. Marriage is not a matter of the heart, but a business. It is a meticulously negotiated contract between 2 families to unite assets, forge alliances, and, above all, ensure the continuity of the lineage. Your father negotiates the dowry that the bride's family will bring and the price he will pay for her. Everything is recorded on a clay tablet by a scribe, with witnesses present. Love may or may not come with time. What matters is the legality of the union and your ability to produce children, especially sons, to honor the gods and inherit the family trade. If you were born a woman, your world is a paradox. Your primary duty is to the home and the family. After marriage, you pass from the authority of your father to that of your husband. Your honor and fidelity are paramount, and the law is brutally clear. A wife's adultery is punishable by death by drowning. You are expected to manage the household, supervise the servants, if any, weave the family's clothes, and, most importantly, give birth to legitimate children for your husband. Your social identity is, in large part, defined by your role as a wife and mother. However, outside the walls of your home, the law grants you surprising rights for the time. A Babylonian woman could own property in her own name, inherit assets from her parents, and even run her own business. The dowry you bring to the marriage remains legally yours. You can use it to invest, buy and sell, or lend at interest. It was not uncommon for women to be tavern owners, moneylenders, or textile merchants. Thus, your life is a constant duality. Your body and your honor are strictly controlled by the patriarchal structure, but your mind and your capital can give you a sphere of autonomy and power in the vibrant commercial world of Babylon. The peace you live within the walls of Babylon is a peace bought with iron and blood. The glory of your empire was not born from agreements, but was conquered by the most formidable war machine of its time. You see the soldiers in the streets, the infantry with their bronze helmets and long spears, the archers whose arrows can darken the sky, and, above all, the feared war chariots, the high-speed platforms that run down enemy lines. The army is the sharp instrument of the king's will, and its presence in the city is a constant reminder of the power that emanates from the palace. For you, a common man, the army is a source of both pride and fear. Pride when the troops return victorious, parading down the processional way with the banners and spoils of distant kingdoms. Fear because in times of great campaigns, conscription can knock on your door.
A king's officer can take you from your family and your workshop, give you a shield and a spear, and force you to march for months under the scorching sun towards a city whose name you can barely pronounce. You pray to the gods that war stays away, but you know that the greatness of your home depends on the brutality exercised outside. The army's victories fill Babylon not only with glory, but with wealth. Every subjugated kingdom is forced to pay a heavy annual tribute. Shipments of silver, cedar from Lebanon, precious stones, and, above all, grain flow incessantly into the capital. The gold that decorates the temples and the bricks that raise the king's palace are financed by the forced labor of other peoples. The prosperity that surrounds you, the abundance of food in the markets, all of this is the direct result of the exploitation of a vast and resentful empire. But war brings not only riches, it brings people. One of the most effective and cruel tactics of the empire is mass deportation. Entire populations of conquered cities are uprooted from their lands and marched in chains to Babylon. You see them in the streets, men and women from distant kingdoms with lost expressions, now slaves. They are the workforce that builds the walls, digs the canals, and serves in the houses of the nobles. As you walk through the city, you understand the fundamental truth of the empire. Your security is the oppression of another. Your freedom is built on the slavery of thousands. The peace of Babylon is perpetual war for the rest of the world. Everything you considered eternal proved to be mortal. The walls, which seemed to touch the sky and guarantee Babylon's invincibility, did not protect you forever. A new power arose in the east, the Persians, led by a king named Cyrus. The fall was not necessarily a bloodbath in the streets, but a collapse of power. One day, you see the once invincible Babylonian soldiers laying down their arms, and, through the Ishtar Gate, enter generals who speak a strange language and pray to other gods. The change is overwhelming. The center of the world, the navel of the universe, suddenly becomes a province in an even larger empire. The tributes that once flowed to Babylon are now diverted to other capitals. The great ziggurat still rises against the sky, but its shadow seems smaller, its power diminished. For you, who were born believing in the eternity of your city, the feeling is one of disorientation and loss. You witness the unthinkable, the end of the world as you knew it. The great Babylon, the city that boasted of its strength, slowly begins its long journey to become dust and memory. Time buried the great walls and palaces under the desert sand. Your life, your fears, and your dreams were lost, nameless and faceless. But something survived. It was not the stone, but the clay. The hundreds of thousands of cuneiform tablets that the scribes engraved were your true time capsule. Thanks to them, today we know their laws, their myths, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, their science, and the details of their daily life. Your echo is not in the bricks, but in the words. And the legacy of Babylon goes beyond that. The base 60 mathematics, developed to map the heavens, is the reason why your clock today has 60 minutes in an hour and a circle has 360 degrees. The 7-day week, based on the 7 celestial bodies they worshipped, still structures our calendar. The idea that the law of the state must be written and applied to all, however imperfect it was in practice, is a pillar of our own civilization. The clues, the clue. City may have fallen, but the systems it created to bring order to the universe and to society continue, silently, to shape our world. If you have come this far, it is because you understand that the past is not dead, it just sleeps beneath the surface of the present. The stories of those who came before us are the foundations of our own world. To continue this archaeological excavation into the history of humanity, do not forget to
Subscribe to the channel so we do not lose the thread that connects us to these forgotten empires. Activate the bell to be the first to know when a new chapter of the past is unearthed. And share this video with someone who is also fascinated by the shadows and lights of history, as each share keeps this flame alive. The journey through Babylon ends here, but the journeys through the vastness of time are just beginning. Thank you for watching.